Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. All right, everybody, welcome. I'm so grateful to have you here, and we have an amazing show for you. Make sure you love up the subscribe button. Why not? It's fun. It loves you, and you love it, I hope, but it's up to you. Okay, have some fun. Okay, we'd love to have you subscribe. Leave us a rating if you're able to do that wherever you're listening, and leave us an amazing review. And I think you'll just absolutely love what we're talking about today. And I know you love our guests. And this is such an incredible theme, like talking about, like, how I hear it. Okay, it's my spin on it. It's like, how can we take our brilliant stories and our mess of a story of a life that we've developed and turn it into gold? And my friend here, Michelle Atlas, is going to help us with that today. So hello, Michelle.
Hi, Dan. Hi. So happy to be here with you.
So happy to have you here. As always, it's such a blessing. I mean, Michelle, really have enjoyed getting to know each other and have had so many conversations. We both are those deep type of people that we can just keep talking about all kinds of deeper things for till the end of time. We just have a great time connecting. So if you're one of those people, you definitely want to listen in today. I'm going to tell you about Michelle first before we dive in more and get a little crazy here. So Michelle Atlas empowers creative, intuitive women and a few men to free themselves of all they are not and reclaim their self-trust so they can create change they did not think possible in their relationship to money, their businesses, and themselves. She is the author of the dailyOM. Some heard of it before? I sure most of you have. The dailyOM course called Overcoming Money Shame, and a co-author of the book, The Superwoman Entrepreneur: How to Turn Your Breakdowns into Breakthroughs. Michelle is currently knee-deep writing her first book, The Sovereign Woman Entrepreneur. Learn to trust yourself more than anyone else so you can grow a soul-inspired business rooted in your intuition, creativity, and wisdom. Now, Michelle is one part business mentor, one part shadow detective, one part spiritual guide, and one part soul purpose midwife. She will help you forge a deep embodied connection to yourself so you can turn your darkness into beauty and prosperity and grow a business rooted in your soul. Michelle is certified in multiple coaching modalities, and she speaks internationally on the psychology of money and living resiliently. And again, just such a delight to have you, Michelle.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Wow, that was a mouthful. I
I know.
didn't realize
I
how
know.
long.
Sometimes the guests, they when they hear that said out loud, they're like, "Wow, okay, that's kind of long."
Yeah, exactly. I didn't realize it. Wow.
That's good. We want to spotlight you and your awesomeness, so that's all good. And so, yeah, so let's get into a little bit here now.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, a lot of times, as I'm interviewing people, I just get feelings of what to talk about. I'm picking up right now is just intuitively like just feeling like I feel it in you. I could feel it in myself. I could feel it in others that are, these deep intuitive souls. Well, the people listening here, they're light workers, light leader type of people, and typically so, but that there's this yearning for yearning to be for truth and love and embracing the truth of who we are, and we just feel like I don't get it, I don't get this life, I don't get myself, and yet part of us does. We feel like we're so tuned in and know everything sometimes as well, but we're like we feel kind of lost, misunderstood. I think that's what's so true with the deep ones. I just know, like, when I talk to people, that aren't quite as deep as I am. They're telling me like, just be kind of in, like, whoa, you're kind of deep, and I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. Like, so just feeling like you kind of stand out sometimes if you're not around other deep people. They're like, wow, you're kind of you're different. You're kind of deep there. And sometimes I even had a friend when I was younger. He was a little bit older than me and is actually a young adult. He's like, you never heard that song, choke me in the shallow waters. That song goes, choke me in the shallow waters. So yeah, you need more of that. And he's like, you're too deep. And he thought I was suffering from it, which I wasn't. I was depressed. So he's like trying to help me out. So, but yeah, we suffer from a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. So first thing I thought, Michelle, is let's talk to the people that are most likely going to be tuning in and really, really want to listen in to you today. And this journey that we go on, I know it's a journey that you've experienced that's led you to discovering your soul prosperity theme. But yeah, let's talk about like, compare notes quickly, and then we can dive right into that. Like, yeah, what's it been like for you being a deep soul, being able to connect with so many things? I could go on and on about my story, but let's hear your story, like
Yeah.
how it's made you maybe like be judged at times, seem different, make you question yourself, etc. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Dan. Gosh. Again, that's such a deep question and such a beautiful, authentic, transparent account of what it's really like for deep sensitive people. And I think, right off the bat, it's like for so many of us, I've been talking a lot today, so my voice is a little ragged, but so for so many of us, we spend a lot because of that sensitivity and that depth and how deeply and profoundly affected we have been by life. We spend a lot of our time and energy attempting to compensate for that sensitivity and that depth, and figuring out ways of sort of dodging, the full expression of who we are because of the fear of others not being able to see it or receive it or take it in or understand it correctly. And, so I know that I could certainly speak theoretically about all this, but I was the poster girl for all of that. And from a very young age, you develop these, you have this deep sense of, longing for true joy, fulfillment, connection, love, all the things that most human beings want. But I think when you're deep and sensitive, you live for those things. And, they're, even when you're a child, there's a level of consciousness about wanting that deep fulfillment that maybe some don't have. And if you're not getting it, if you have, if you're coming from a dysfunctional family, like I did, a really cuckoo family, um, if you're bright and you're sensitive, then you're going to come up with all sorts of, convoluted survival mechanisms to just keep your head above water, throughout those years. And what I found for myself was, then you're in adulthood, and you're in relationships and you're in jobs and you're starting your own business and you're doing all these adult things. And there's this sense that there's like this, your life, that your functional, high functioning life is really the tip of a much bigger iceberg. And the iceberg is all of the feelings and parts of yourself that you had to cut off from, or you had to put in the closet, or you had to do something else with to stay afloat during all those early years. And I think the beauty for me, I'd say, and for a lot of my clients, when people come into my world, they're an awful lot like me. Like so many of us work with people who are like us, like we were just saying. And for me and many of my clients, you reach a point midlife or beyond, and those same survival mechanisms that truly, were really friends. They kept you, sane and safe in a certain way. They become prison. They become a prison. You start to feel hostage to all of those constructs you concocted. And, you can't always figure out, okay, like I got myself into this straitjacket and it helped me survive till now, but now it's a straitjacket. How do I get out? right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, and so that was certainly my story. And again, people tend to show up on my virtual doorstep when they're saying, "Uncle, ready to like ready to get out of the, ready to come out of the prison. It just started to feel like a prison now for the first time, and I'm ready to get out of it." And so I find that, the entrepreneurial path also is an amazing, life is an amazing teacher, of course, but the entrepreneurial path in particular is not for the faint of heart. It's a path for the adventuresome spirit. And if you're a sensitive, deep type, it's going to become one and the same with your soul, your spiritual path and your soul journey in no time. It's going to start to shape and transform and challenge you in the most profound ways. So, that's what it's been for me. And I feel like, basically, to kind of wrap up the answer to this question, which probably could be a book, I think that I've used my business. I've used and use currently my business path, my work with the amazing souls I get to work with, to dig deeper into myself, to really continue the excavation of all of the precious lost parts, to really continue to glue myself back together and take risks. I use my business as this beautiful container where I get to take risks to speak my deepest truth in ways I couldn't in my family or school or even in certain social circles, and to offer that truth as a service, really as a service, as something that feels now as I've matured like the very reason I'm here. And so it's like definitely a story of turning your darkness into beauty, or, as my Facebook group is called, Darkness, Diamonds in the Darkness. It's like really excavating those diamonds in your deepest darkness, and knowing that there are diamonds there, and that those diamonds are probably signposts, to what you're really here for, and like how you're, what you're meant to be doing in terms of touching others, and so many important things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, every pain that I've had, I mean, we're imagine this is what we're getting into, right? So, but yeah, for me, for example, uh, I, I mean, I was judged like, again, when I was going through my master's program, again, I've shared this on the show, I'm sure before. If ever the people are involved with this here and they're like, oh my God, here we go again. He's telling that story. But it's like I was just noticed for the fact that I was tuned in. They didn't know what to call it. They're just like, you're really good at assessing people. Like how how do you do it? Is almost like the question I kind of heard them not say, but it's like, how do you know? Like I had one of my friends who was like pretty much, well, number two student, in terms of grades and whatnot in the class. I sure was not the number one, so I was a little closer to the middle of the pack, or maybe a little bit above that. But in my graduate school program, and she just says, some people just know things, and you're one of those people. And this was, I still didn't have no ideas intuitive. I didn't really understand all that stuff back then, but I got criticized because they said, you're just sitting there, you're listening to people. What's that all about? I'm like, yeah, I'm listening. I'm doing things that you have no clue what's happening probably. And like,
Right,
I didn't even have a clue really, but I just knew I was
right,
doing something.
right,
I knew something was happening, but nobody understood it, right?
right,
But you got pointed out for that. You got pointed out when you asked a lot of questions because you're so fervent about truth when you're a kid, and in my master's program and whatnot. So it's like we get for being truth tellers, which usually us deep sensitive types are like that.
right,
You get, it's like that's where in the past lives you got in trouble, right? I mean, especially then, and we get in trouble in this life, and so it's a tough thing. It's a tough one, and I'm wondering, we're gonna get there. Like, well, how does this tie into this stuff we talk about your soul prosperity theme? Because I feel my like I could already, imagine what my soul prosperity theme might be anyway. I might have a slight clue based on all these experiences I had. But it's first just like realizing, wow, you get persecuted for a gift. So no wonder we compartmentalize it or shut it away or shut them down, right?
Right. Right. Oh, it's incredible, really. It's like heartbreaking. And it's just amazing, isn't it? But yeah, I think, well, what I discovered, I think, I always had this passion for, this kind of concept of turning, darkness into beauty, or really using your greatest hardships as your greatest blessing, not in a canned, slap a positive spin on something devastating kind of way, or, oh, just slap an affirmation on it and, turn it around. Not that kind of thing, because there's too much of that going on too. Maybe with good intention, but that doesn't really work, so it's not how you really allow your difficulties to transform you, to really transfigure you. So what I discovered for myself was, and I'm finding this to speak so deeply to so many people, which is just a thrill for me, because it's really becoming like, the heart of like my work now, is that we have this, most of us have like a kind of what you've alluded to, like a theme. I'm calling it, soul prosperity theme, because I noticed that it's so funny because it's so natural. You don't even notice there's this repetitive theme in your life. And like for example, and we might have more than one theme, like there might be numerous words or symbols that really represent your theme. But I noticed for myself that from like when I was like 15, I purchased this beautiful piece of art that had a pregnant woman on it. It's still sitting here, I mean, like, I'm 63 and it's sitting, and this thing I purchased when I was 15 has had so much meaning. I've carted it around the world with me. And of all the things I've kept and let go of and all this and all the life changes, this thing's still with me. And it's this picture of this beautiful pregnant woman with a big angel, with a huge, gorgeous moon over her head, and a huge angel like hovering protectively over her. And when I was 15 and didn't understand a darn thing about any of this intellectually, I was magnetized to that image. It resonated on a profound core level. I felt like I was everything in it. I felt like I was the pregnant woman. I felt like I was the angel, and I felt like I was the moon, and I everything. I just was like, I don't know, this is me. I don't know what that means or how, And long story short, it just gave me a lot of solace, a lot of inspiration. Many things happened in life, but when I became, like college age and was thinking about what I was going to do, I had this super strong attraction to the idea of being a midwife. And, but I wasn't good at math or science, so for me to go into a medical field was like, probably not a great idea. But I just felt like the word midwife and the whole concept of midwife like resonated really deeply with me. Something about being a part of, facilitating, holding space for a birth, and being a part, like an intimate part of birth. And so fast forward many, many years, and, lived in an ashram for 12 years, had a job for 18 years, left my job to start my own business, maybe 7 years ago, or actually probably more like 10 to 12 years ago, but really started to take it seriously about 7 years ago. And the first client went back and got multiple coaching certifications and credentials and all this sort of thing, came out feeling, ready to go. And my first client, this wonderful person who I felt a really strong soul connection to, the end of our, she showed right up after I got certified and said, like, I'm in. And so we worked together for about 6 months, and I asked her for a testimonial at the end of our time together. And she wrote me this really nice paragraph. And the last line in it, knowing none of this, the last line was, "I will always think of Michelle as a midwife." And I burst into tears. I remember I was like, it just touched me right at the core. And I thought, that's what I am. I didn't go to medical school, but that's what I am. And I realized that, the whole process of like that I had done it, that I had midwifed myself first and foremost, that, like that essential self that got sort of veiled with all of the crazy conditioning and this and that, that I had, seeded planted the seeds of truth early on and cultivated them all the while, and then finally, throughout every little, you know, twist and turn, ended up birthing myself, and then, that whole process, of course, is what I do with others. And so when I landed on that theme, having run through like a thread through my entire life from the time I was a little girl and was drawn to these kinds of things, not understanding why, um, and even like the way people responded to me that I didn't understand. There was so many different signs and clues, and I know you relate to this kind of thing. And then I realized that, that's where that was the juxtaposition of, the light that was made brighter by the darkness, the light that was made stronger, and shaped into this real blazing lighthouse, in the darkness. Um, and once and well into my business, I started to remember all this, and I realized that as an entrepreneur, not really knowing, too much about business, even knowing a lot about transformation, but not so much about business, I had swallowed all the advice from all these people whole about, what I should be doing and how I should be doing it. And it was depleting me and draining the hell out of me. And I was becoming less and less connected to the inspiration and vitality that drove me to start my business to begin with. And I realized that I had abandoned. It was, it was me now who was putting my soul prosperity theme in the closet, who had put it in the closet, and that I needed to remember these things about myself. And sure enough, as I began, so it changed a lot for me. I put some of this language in my bio. Like I just told it like it was. I'm a midwife, I used to, just, make a bio based on the way other people did, okay, like, what are you supposed to say in a bio? Oh, this person says this, so I'll say something similar. It wasn't really authentic or deep, and I decided, no, just speak yourself, be who you are. So it changed my bio. It's in the process of changing some of my branding now. And just the whole way that I show up, what I choose to teach, how I choose to teach it. And with that, of course, came like a lot more clients. All I have to do is talk about this deeper truth now. And really, people have been flocking to some of the things I've been doing because it resonates with the deepest part of them. And what do we want more, right? Than a safe space where we are understood, where we don't relive those experiences of our early life. And for entrepreneurs in particular, this is the key. This thread, whatever it is for you, for anybody, this thread is the key to prosperity. It's the key to greater money flow with greater ease, more clients, much less depletion, much more fulfillment, and you just getting to be the wisdom that you are. You become the offer. You stop thinking of your offers and your prices and everything is being so separate from you. It's all really you're it. Your life is the offer. The wisdom you've mined through your own hardships is the offer. And I've just found, people and money and all kinds of good flows has been flowing with such greater ease since I have really, landed on this concept of a soul prosperity theme.
Boy, Michelle, I just gotta kind of play with you here. What a racket that is. You just share your story and people are gonna pay you for it. You're just gonna talk about that stuff. I pick it up because those are the ideas that come in our heads when we go to do such work, right? It's like, it's just
help them share their story. That's what they're paying for, not my story. It's helping people connect with themselves, not with me.
Right. Well, it's true. So yeah. Well, in a way, they kind of pay you for your story because your story connects with them. So sometimes it's the way.
Right. Absolutely.
So, but yeah, I mean, the fact that it's as simple as it's as simple as like, just like all the gold is in there, I guess that's what I'm hearing, right? So,
Right.
just to get it into the density of my awareness, what we're talking about here is like, so when I say, well, Michelle, how could I possibly be any good? My first teachers, and helping people said, hey, we don't even know if you can be a therapist, but you're really understand people, though. We do know that, but you're a mess. I mean, we don't know if you could really communicate properly to people. And you're just like, and then you just sit here and question us a lot. You have questions about what the work you're doing on your thesis. We just don't get that either. And why can't, basically the message, like, why can't you be like everybody else? Like,
Yeah.
so and then I got fired in my first job out of that program too, like within a month. And it's like, oh, okay, so there's a double whammy. By that time, you're like, okay, I guess I really don't fit in anywhere. It's kind of what, again, somewhere in your psyche, you're
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
kind of ideas, right? So, but, I guess it's like, I think what's true though for a lot of people listening that are resonating with this is we're persistent. There is something that holds us,
Right.
that keeps saying no. There's something about this that's important, that's real. So how can we turn our mess into gold? I mean, how?
Yeah.
Let's,
Yeah.
let's talk about that. Like, yeah, how do you help people with that? When they're like, but I struggle with this and I struggle with that, and this is where my mess is. But yet that points into their gifts, right?
Totally. Yeah, it totally does. And I understand all the horrible feelings as well, because I have had every one of them and then some. And anybody who's gone through this kind of feeling different and deeper and more sensitive and weird or whatever, it's a very, very disturbing, deep, alienating kind of a thing, and not a small thing at all. And I think that, and a huge part of my life was spent in that kind of a internal state. And I think that a couple of things are really, the what do you do about it, or how do you find the gold in the darkness like that? So part of it really is, you know, being willing to journey back into, what were those special gifts and qualities that people didn't understand, and really being able to re-embrace them, reclaim them as special gifts, as opposed to, I was weird or I was different, that people were uncomfortable because they didn't know that was about them. They didn't know. They either were uncomfortable journeying to those places within themselves, or they couldn't access those places within themselves, or they had their own fears. But the bottom line is, it's like you look back at, like, what were those special gifts that led to so much pain, but that were present, over and over again. And of course, I know you've got the psychology background, and I've done so much work with, with great practitioners, and then studied so much that we know we have to go back and kind of reparent and relove all those parts and bring them back to, back into the light, and integrate. And so that's part of it. I think there's like several steps. I think that slowing down is one of the first steps. Slowing down and dropping down and in, instead of up, instead of this rah rah up and out. It's like a pulling in and down. So you
Yeah.
can, right, and that's like really going down into the diamond mine is how I think of it. It's like
Oh.
the elevator's going down, and you're like, it's dark down here. Like, you
Yeah,
know
yeah,
where's
the light leaders and light people are always to the light. And usually it's like out of the body and up into the upper fields. And this work that you do, that I do too in my own way. But like, yeah, come on down here.
yeah, right. Right, come back home into your body, which you have, where you've abdicated the throne,
Yes, yes.
and so there's so much wisdom, and there's all kinds of memories and all kinds of wisdom and all kinds of guidance in there, though, that and so I think that for me, and for in the work I do, what's been the most potent way of turning this around, or combination of this sort of reclaiming and loving those exiled parts, number one. Number two, having the courage to allow yourself to have the direct experience of some of the feelings that got put in the closet when things were rough, because they sort of haunt you and chase you around, feelings of unworthiness or not enoughness, and these kinds of things that are so common. And you kind of have to, unfortunately, for better or worse, you can't just talk those guys away. You have to really, just feel that, be capable of allowing those feelings to surface, and then they do transform, they do transmute into other energies. And they're just looking for love like every other part that didn't feel so good. And then the third thing is what I'm calling like your sovereign soul, really. And so, when we go through all this stuff that we're talking about, we both went through, and so many people do, sensitive, intuitive people do, part of what happens is you stop trusting yourself, and you trust other people more than yourself, anybody more than you. You start to hand over your power here and there. And I see people doing it in a multitude of so many different ways, and so there's a big piece of this healing journey that has to do with reclaiming your right to live as the authority in your own life. And until you do that, you're not going to get very far. So it's like practices and support to forge an unshakable connection to yourself, to your own wise guidance. Everybody has it. And really cultivating that relationship to sort of replace some of the really painful, destructive relationships internally and externally. And then being able to begin making, more courageous, kind of new decisions about your life, about yourself, about relationships, about your business, about money, from a place of self-trust.
Yeah. So I know that's where we want to go next, is we definitely want to make sure we get into that today is, once you start to discover this soul prosperity theme, which I'm wondering about that before we get into the money, like one of my superpowers, there's so many superpowers I have, I just call them superpowers. Why not? It's fun.
Yeah.
My whatever, my gifts, whatever you want to call them. But is actually one of the things that some of them are ones that I would just judge as being not good, like the bad, that's like the shadow sort of stuff in a way. But like, for example, sensitivity, especially for me, in my case as a man, like, okay, my dad, again, I probably shared this on the show before, but my dad would say, don't cry, I'll give you something to cry about. I'm like, what the heck? So that you're so sensitive, you can get emotional. And then, for me I suppose it happens with sensitive women too, to some degree, right? Hey, toughen up or whatever.
Yeah.
Come on. Sometimes you're told to man up too. Depends, right? But yeah, you get those messages that there's something not quite well about that, and you get yourself together, you hysterical mess, you or whatever, right? Like, and so when we judge that, and then we won't let ourselves become vulnerable to show that as much, and we try to hide it. And then, like for me, when people would say, you're just such a soft, beautiful, gentle, sensitive soul, I'd be like, oh, screw you, I'm tough, I'm badass. And like, I mean, like, I want to fight it rather than being like, isn't that beautiful that I'm sensitive, that I can be such a soft, beautiful space for people. So I was throwing the gift out. I'm like, no. So I just use it as an example to flesh out when you say it's a soul prosperity theme. I mean, that is one of the things that actually attracts people to me in part, right? I have all this different medicine. We all have our different medicines.
Yeah.
So is that what you mean? Like, because people are like, well, what the heck is this theme exactly?
Oh,
How do I know what it is? How do I know how to identify and say, that's it? That is my theme, or how do we come to figure it out then?
right. Exactly. So yeah, it's an excellent question. And so, um, it's funny, it's almost like double-edged, like I would say on one hand, it's can be a little bit elusive and a little bit, like intangible. On
Yeah.
the other hand, it is powerful and can be so impactful when you are connected, and so
Mhm.
um, one of the ways that, and I think that, you nailed it. You're right on track with the way you described it for you. It would be really this theme, like you said, of like, um, repeated reflection, better for better or worse in your life, that you're really sensitive, that you're super sensitive. It caused a lot of pain. It was acknowledged, it was seen. And it was just a real, and it is a massive gift. It's a massive gift that you bring. And, I can feel it right now just in your presence. And as your friend, I've always been the beneficiary of that. And so it's really, yeah, it's exactly that. It's like looking at, and I'm sure there are other soul prosperity themes, but for you, if you were, it is one of the gifts you bring. And I think it is absolutely one of the things that people pay you readily for is the experience of the medicine in your sensitivity that allows them to come home to their own body and their own soul in your presence, and be there and explore whatever needs to be explored, or open up or heal, what reveal to themselves whatever needs to be revealed. So that is most definitely a theme for you. We look at where, where we have, where we're really magnetizing people and money. That's another indicator. The other indicator, though, is like, really, I have people do a lifeline. When people are really in the dark, I'll have them do what I call a lifeline, draw a line down a page. On one side, put all of their most challenging hardships, and on the other side, the resources that they used to move through them. And so they start to discover like these hidden, again, gems, these strengths and resources within them, or even, who did they go to for support, that and what were some of the most meaningful evolutions that came from each of those difficulties. And they can like see how each difficulty, shaped or evolved them in this way or that way. And they start to see, usually there are themes. It's not like each time something happened, you were, a whole different set of strengths and challenges showed up. Usually the same ones do. They
Mhm.
might have a different outfit on, they might look a little different. But when you look closely, you say, oh, okay, there was my sensitivity again. It both, I got really hurt because of it, but it also helped me to cope with this situation.
Right.
You like that, right? Or my intuition, oh, I just, it made life really painful because I saw so much and took so much in, but it also helped me to know how to avoid danger or how to cope with it when it did come up. So we look at all of those, and as an adult, we're free to, hopefully we've come into a place where we're now making choices that don't cause us so much new pain. We're just healing the old pain, now we can really blossom the gift safely because we're an adult. Nobody gets to do that anymore to us,
Right, 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 exactly. Yeah, in the physical level, it looks that way for sure, right? It shows up that way, and we're not kids where our parents are kind of our gods when gods and goddesses when we're kids, right?
Exactly.
It's different.
Exactly.
Um, so yeah, so the soul prosperity, I mean, theme really is acknowledging, in a sense, really taking a look at these gifts that we have and the resiliency they gave us, but also like how we have these gifts, right? And then by acknowledging that, I think it's pretty obvious, but could you kind of help us to understand a little bit more about the connection of being able to see that so clearly in all the ways, like because there's some obvious ways, but all the ways that could help increase money flow for people.
Yeah. Oh, sure, sure. So I think some of it is subtle and energetic and just has to do with the vitality that any given person is going to feel when they're, like in their soul prosperity, like when they're talking about that thing that they feel deeply about and know deeply. There's a vitality and an aliveness and a wholeness about them that is magnetic to their clients, and brings in clients and money. I mean, I've experienced that a whole lot. And I just did a free challenge on the whole topic of soul prosperity theme for the first time. And I filled my 12-week Activate Your Money Flow program um, from that challenge. And in the past, I filled the program, but it took a whole lot, it was a little bit more of an uphill climb. And so, I saw this topic resonated really deeply for people, and they were like jumping into the course before our discovery call, stuff like that. So it was like, wow, okay, and so there's that level of just the alignment, the vitality, the wholeness you're bringing, being magnetic to people, and then there's the level of how it can really impact the particular choices that you make about your offers. Like for example, if I have a client who identified her soul prosperity theme as freedom. So she's a mom who lost some freedom when she became a mom, and that's a high value for her, and that's been kind of an edge throughout her life. Do I have freedom or don't I have freedom? And we went through a period at first of really helping her to come back into a sense of freedom, her own freedom. And then after she stopped some of the things that were a reliving of where she had lost that connection to her soul's calling, she was right away, I see this all the time without me having to, even make suggestions. She just connected immediately with the fact that she needed to create a program for other mothers who are entrepreneurs with a central theme of freedom, right? Because who knows how to do that better than her? And this is her first group coaching program, and she's getting enrollment like it's flowing like butter. It's like, it's just like happening. And, sometimes, we know when you're not quite in alignment, no matter how hard you work, sometimes things as an entrepreneur just flop, and don't go. We've all had those experiences too, but we know that when we're really connected, they go really well, and I'm watching that with her. But it was like, first she had to get, into that place that lights her up, which is freedom. That's what, so her light's on, and now, people can see her, and they're gravitating towards the light. It's like, that's how it works, I mean, if she were trying to do my soul prosperity theme, it probably wouldn't work, but she's doing hers.
Right. Exactly. And you want to make sure that, I mean, I could see like how you could utilize that to see all these different themes, and like people talk about creating things like branding and all these
Yeah.
different things. Like it could totally turn into that where, and then your client avatars and ideal clients and stuff, like it could totally, because I always say again, like in the work we do as coaches, healers, people like that, um, we tend to be our clients. We are,
Yeah,
I feel, but it's
totally.
so it's like, okay, so are you sensitive? Are you highly intuitive? Are you just describe yourself?
Right.
And you're already like, if you even call your program like, utilizing one of those qualities, okay, this is a sensitive badass course, make more money or something like that. I mean, now that would be off a little bit for me, but like, like it would have some resonance. But yeah, I'm kind of like that, like, so, but getting it just right, I think is what the key is. I
Yeah.
know like that's part of, the work that you do certainly. And like for me, what ended up happening for me is I know that the things that still hold some charge for me, like, those things like are actually some of the best things for me to share, right? I mean, there's a lot of energy in there. And so like for me, like you hadn't heard this yet, but like I really landed with something I was dancing around. I'd say, oh, I'll help you with money, I'll help you with, I'll help you with awakening, I'll help you with this, I'll help you with that. And then all of a sudden it came into me, I'm like, oh my God, what's in the middle of all these things I've been trying to help people with? And it's something I've helped people with, but I never really, always talked about it in this way. I says, it's sales. It's sales, baby. It's sales. Because I would judge myself in so many ways. I wouldn't ask girls out when I was growing up because I didn't want to influence them, because I saw what happened to my sister getting pregnant at a young age, and the guy just took off. So it's like, oh, persuasion's not good. Like persuade, like, so I made persuasion wrong. And every time I've done that, I suffer. Every time I don't, own my power to do sales, I suffer. My family suffers. Other people suffer. People don't get the transformation. They don't get the results. I mean, just listen to my voice. It's like just that you could just tell it's like, bing, okay, this guy is activated right now. Like it just, and that's one of the ways you can know, right? But like trying to figure it out on your own is I'm trying to advocate for people getting more help because I did finally discover this recently. I've been very successful, as I mean, but like doing things, but it's like I was time to change some things. Like this was even a deeper thing that was a thread throughout. And then finally, I'm like, oh my God, that's it. And I've been running around this thing actually because all my own concepts around it, which my tribe will have too, right? So it's so perfect in so many ways. So my point is like, when you find that thing, it's just like it just really lights you up. But what I found is it's not so easy for people to identify that. It can take a little bit of time, a little bit of work to even with a mentor. Sometimes not always the first session or whatever. Like it takes a little bit of time to
Yeah.
really first even know what it is, much less than like, okay, let's build that out, like into a program and offerings, marketing, everything, right? So
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
that's what I've noticed. So
Yeah. 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 No, I agree. I agree. I agree. I know what you mean. And I think also, I totally get that. And I think I've also been finding um, that in some ways it can be simpler too, in the sense that, like, I'm going to be doing a retreat on this in the near future. And at first I was like, um, how am I going to, give the most value around this? And it's going to be like a 3-day kind of a thing.
mhm,
And, but I think that, for people to just, first of all, just embrace those deeper parts and those deeper themes is so meaningful. Like right off the bat, it's such a profound homecoming, such a profound empowerment, and such
yeah,
a, right. And so I saw during my free challenge that people were so deeply touched and moved by that, that made me very happy. And I get it. So am I, and so there's, I think once a person lands in that deep embracing and appreciation for who they really are,
right,
then it's like, yeah, then the other stuff can, it's like, well, then it's a discovery. How's it going to show up in, the branding, or, like maybe they're being that already in all their programs, but they're not owning it fully. Maybe they're not saying it. Maybe there should be another program that's just very literally focused on that, so like maybe my client is weaving freedom into her program. Maybe her next program is called Freedom. You know what I mean?
right, right.
And so it becomes a more alive, fully blossomed thing. And I think it is important. The mind is always going to want to, latch on to like, am I doing it right? Do I have my soul prosperity theme right? Or is it, or like, where is it? Everybody else has one, but not me, like this kind of thing. And so my, like the first day of my challenge, I was very, very adamant about telling people that, it's not a job, and, telling them what it's not. And also, that it can be a little, there's kind of, this may not be something that, you nail, in one fell swoop. And it's like an ongoing discovery. And again, we may have more than one, like I conducted my challenge like an archaeological, I used the metaphor of an archaeological dig. And I looked up all the terminology for an archaeological dig, and the person who's conducting the dig is called an excavation director. So that's what I thought, that I'm that too,
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. See what's there, right? I mean, it is. I mean, I think that's a huge part of it. It's just
Right.
really is to see everything it's not sometimes for
Yeah.
ourselves, even on our own. Like, what is in it? Like sometimes that brings clarity too. Well, it's definitely not this, it's not that. And it's funny how you can do that. Like I mean, that can be almost as powerful sometimes. Like the Michelangelo thing, everybody says, right? Just chip away everything that's not the Michelangelo, right? So like, okay, I'm not this isn't my theme, that isn't my theme. And it helps open up the space, like, okay, what is my theme? Like, so that in itself can be helpful as well, I think. So, but yeah, really that chipping away. And then so, but to have the support is huge because people can see things that, like yourself, you're intuitive, you're deep, you can see what's going on for people. You have the brilliant questions and processes to help people with all that. And then you're also understand the people, maybe most importantly too, is you understand the sorts of thing challenges they have as deep, creative or intuitive people, is to help them because you uniquely understand what kind of challenges they have and trying to connect with it, and then how to allow that to prosper them too, with as far as money flow goes. So what are some of the common barriers? I know you talk about these common barriers people have as deep, sensitive, creative, intuitive souls with money. So
Yeah.
I thought we'd spend a few minutes on that as well, just a bit,
Oh,
talking about some of those.
yeah, sure. So, well, I think, I know you know this too, like historically, so many so many deep, intuitive, sensitive, spiritual people that identify with being spiritual or soulful tend to, have a negative concept or sort of a bit of a love-hate relationship with money and material wealth. And it's a real barrier to really flourishing as an entrepreneur or even in life in a certain degree, to a certain degree. And so there are a couple of keys there to addressing this and really being able to turn it around in an authentic way. One is understanding that when people want to empower their relationship to money, they typically go to practical tips and strategies and tools. And that's just one wing to the bird. The other wing to the bird is our emotional relationship to money and the invisible emotional drivers of our relationship to money. And so that's where you need a bit of a, again, a midwife or a, excavation director or, somebody to really help turn those lights on, because we can't change what we can't see. And what I find is that, sensitive, intuitive people just, burn out very easily too, because they're so sensitive. And so if they keep spinning their wheels, not working really hard, trying every which way, but they're not being good receivers of the unlimited wealth that is available to really to anyone, they're going to get depleted because nothing's filling their cup. Everything's going out, everything's giving. So there's this hidden emotional relationship to money. And then the second key is this imbalance in the giving and receiving department, where many intuitive, creative people are fantastic givers and have a complete blind spot when it comes to receiving. And so receiving is a much more vulnerable place than giving. Most of us are great givers. Comes to receiving, we're like, just, kind of like don't know what to do with ourselves. And that's an area that needs, healing and work and transformation usually too. And it's not about, I think people tend to think that, okay, it's another piece of hard work I have to do to, empower my relationship to money. And it's actually quite the opposite. You just have to open the darn door. It's like, because there's a lot of money on the other side of it. There are these portals and they're right there, but the doors tend to be closed or cracked open a little bit. So it's like, just open it a little bit more, widely, and in comes the flow. And yeah, so it's a little bit more subtle and actually a little bit easier to turn around this money thing than I think a lot of people think. And it can get very subtle, and it can get very subtle. I've had multiple layers of money breakthroughs over the years. And every time I think I'm in good shape, I bump into another layer that it's like, I'll be darned, I'm still, keeping something out or holding something back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so those are some of I see a lot of this, you've got to really combine. It's not just the inner work and it's not just the practical strategies. It's really important that we do a little bit of both.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think there's so much danger to me anyway, for people that say, I've got the golden key to your money issues. I just do this one special activation. And
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
you might experience a big open and whoa, I could receive, just won the lotto. Okay, let's talk to you like in a year or 2 or 3 years later. Like, how are you doing money now? Yeah, really bad. Like,
Right.
certainly you can get a big awakening. Something big could happen off of one transmission, but to really get something that really goes deeper and really is more fulfilling, it's a whole nother story. And so in a business, you need the practical. Okay, you got to do that are practical. So it totally makes sense as far as in business as well. So
Right.
it might kind of work in some other scenarios, to be honest, to some degree, but it's definitely in business, triply on business, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's occurring to me that has been a big learning for me is that by the same token, you have to watch this thing of thinking you have to do all these things that you hate or that deplete you
Yeah.
or that, in order to make money. Because I think a lot of, and myself initially for years, thought, okay, I'm great with transformation, but I guess I have to bite the bullet and do all these other things that feel really antithetical to my nature in order to make money and have a business. And it's not, and all that did is deplete me. All that did was make me really unhappy. And so it took a while to realize that no, I need to be aligned with my soul prosperity theme. I need to be aligned with who I really am. I need to be telling my truth. And I don't need to be doing a million things that don't fit for me. There are ways of, you know, showing up, becoming visible, attracting money and money flow that can really be much less effortful and suitable to my nature. And so there's that too. And
Right.
it's like there's a sorting process.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're getting to the point where we want to go ahead and let people know more about. I think they're getting a sense of, at least a sense of how you help people for sure. You do all this work, and you help people through your coaching and having people really get in contact, energetically with what's going on and whatnot. So really deep work. And then with the practical, okay, and then practice speaking, then what are you going to be doing with that? Turning that into gold in the business and whatnot.
Right.
Um, so how could people get more? I guess as we're starting to wind up the show, like where do people go, or what can they do? What's the next step?
Yeah, sure, sure. Thank you. So there's a couple of ways. If you want to take my money archetype personality assessment, that's the freebie on my website. Everybody's welcome to do that. And that's michelleatlas.com. And that'll be somewhere posted, I think, too. And then the other option, I always welcome a direct email or a call even. And I'm going to, I can rattle off my email address and my phone number, which I guess I'll do that, but I'll give that to Dan as well so he can post that. So my email, it's real simple. It's just Michelle with 2 L's at michelleatlas.com. That's the email. And the phone number is 585-935-1596. And you are welcome to text me or call me if you want to connect, or email me if you want to connect, and or take the quiz and get a snapshot of your money personality real quickly.
Yeah, that's great. And so that the gifts of money archetype personality assessment, which I know I've taken before. I can't tell you if I remember which. It's been a while, so I forget which one I had been. But I just know it's really cool. So go to and helpful. So michelleatlas.com is where you get that. So with 2 L's again. And then if you want to contact Michelle directly, Michelle@michelleatlas.com. And then you can always call her too. And you might want to just one more time share the number.
Sure. 585-935-1596.
Yeah, it's Yeah, yeah, and it's beautiful that you've got a lot of fives in there, which is change. If you're looking for a change, you're looking for a change. You like to explore the opportunity for change, or in the sort of areas we were talking about today. Then Michelle's your gal, so to speak. give, her, give
I didn't
her a
know
ring
things were
and reach
changed.
out to her. She's your midwife, right? So, so definitely reach out to her, and the soul always knows. So
Yeah.
that's what you boldly need to trust, is just what's speaking to you. That's one of the master keys to all success in life, so to speak. So definitely follow through on that. Michelle, from there, I usually do a quick 1 to 2 minute energy scan, tuning in and process. I know you're familiar with this with me, but I can go ahead and share anyway to share more of the awesomeness I see in you with everybody. You ready?
Thank you. I'm ready.
Great. Okay. All right. Just showing me the book right away, and they're just saying it's like a Palm Pilot, like the Palm Pilots. So I don't know if it's the current book for 100%, but it's like a pump. Like, it reminds me, like one of my colleagues, I think, says Palm Pilot to your soul, or what. I've heard that term, bandied around. But sort of like that, like you're like given this book is like the Palm Pilot to their soul kind of thing, So it's just pretty cool. Let's see. All right, hold on. Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go there then. So I just get sort of that ET extraterrestrial kind of connections that you have are coming in. So I think what it's asking you to do is to just maybe listen to another maybe level or depth to more of the more bandwidths of guidance, and maybe they show up even as so-called ETs, etc. So to be up for that. I get like this, I don't know, I just get images of like, it just brings images to my mind anyway, like of crystal skulls and stuff like that. And, there's a real connection you have with this like crystal skull energy going on. And maybe we could talk about it some other time, but it just feels like there's something powerful in it. And as part of your journey of, as we're all going back home, of you going back home too, there's something in this that, and I'm getting like this, overall it's like a color that's like kind of purplish, purple, almost pinkish kind of color. And so there, it seems like that color is important overall too. And I think you already used some of that color if I recall correctly. So, but anyway, they're showing me that color, and then what else is going on? You see the money, money coming in, money going out. It feels like there's more healthy energy with that for you now. Um, but they want to keep reminding you to just keep and deepen, receiving more for yourself, because otherwise the money, as soon as it comes in, could keep going out. And make sure you keep deepening the balance with that, the so-called balance or whatever, discernment. It seems like you've progressed significantly over the years, of course, but it seems like you're still like, hey, remember, feed yourself first is kind of what I'm getting overall. Like, so there seems to be a little bit of that. One or two more things. Oh, it's showing me as a master teacher. So hold on. This will intrigue you. I don't know if you've done much of this in the past or not. Maybe you have, but it's saying like you could actually be a master teacher to, yeah, of course, the people's soul guidance and wisdom. That I think is more obvious for you, but also to, again, they want you to connect more and more with these connections, like with angels too. I'm getting like you could be a master teacher guide, to the angels and whatnot as well. Like, and yet make it practical, practically working with them, because that's always a piece of it for you. So I don't know. I could go on and on, as you know, but those are the things I wanted to be shared for just for today. So what pieces kind of popped out for you, or kind of like resonate at least?
Oh, thank you for that. It's always so great. I think, well, I was surprised about the extraterrestrial. I haven't had much
We can
connection.
always talk more about that off air, but yeah, okay. Not gonna get too deep into it today, but yeah.
um, yeah, so the I guess the part and the crystal skull I'm curious about. I don't really totally understand the part that probably touched me the most. Well, the color is that's my color that you described. That's a very resonant color for me, the pinky purple, and I really feel good wearing it, and I like having it in my branding. I just it's going to be more in my branding than it is now. It just feels really like a very vibrant, alive, energetic for me. And this kind of master teacher with the, maybe doing more direct channeling or connection with angels. I feel that I that's intriguing to me because I feel like I've got some real potential or capacity there that is not fully that I just haven't turned to, and kind
Yeah,
of looked in there. It's like it's over here and I'm looking over here, and so I yeah, that feels like something that I guess I'm curious about, sort of curious about. I feel like I could be doing more readings of some sort for people than I've
yeah.
ever really done. I mean, I do, but I don't call them that.
Right, right. Right. Well, cool. It's, these brief scans on the show are just like to highlight, spotlight you so everyone gets to see together with me this awesomeness that you are. And then also opens the guests' awareness to some things too, like, oh, yeah, that's right. Because usually most of my guests are pretty intuitive already. So, yeah, and sometimes it's a brand new thing, but yeah, so yeah, we can always talk more about a few of those things, Michelle, but I just wanted to highlight some things together. Oh, if people want to check me out, is of course you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. I have a meditate and make money meditation there that opens up your energy, your chakras, and then therefore helps you to be attuned to what wants to come through, for your purpose, your business, your money, letting money come in. And just so delighted when I hear people say they're making more money just listening to the meditation. And yeah, because the energy just turns on. I'm all about turning on the energy, and energy turns on. It's like, wow, it's just, I don't know, things are working now. I wonder how that happens. But so anyway, go to yoursacredpurpose.com, get your meditate, make money meditation. And also, there's an opportunity for an energy scan consultation there. So you can always check that out, and feel free to contact me if you like there as well on the homepage. There's an opportunity. So anyway, so that's it. I'm going to give you the last words. Michelle, any last bits of wisdom or anything you'd like to share before we wrap it up?
Oh wow, let's see. Well, yeah, which is, I guess, one of the most important messages that I feel, for myself and for everybody, especially in this world we are navigating right now, is that your soul's calling is going to be exactly what the world needs right now. When you really land on it, it's also going to be the thing that is going to be part of the solution in this world right now, I believe. And just know that you can create, you can continue to grow and prosper and blossom, no matter what is going on in this world. Never use that as an excuse, or feel hindered by it, because they'll always, every single situation is fraught with opportunities to just blossom differently. So
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You're meant to flourish. And
yeah,
this,
definitely.
they say there's many interpretations of it, I know, but the meek are meant to inherit the earth, or shall inherit the earth. So, so we're
Right.
meant to lead the way is one of my interpretations of all that. So those
Right.
of us that are the deep ones and whatnot, we're here as part of the wise council, the leaders of what's wanting to unfold in the world. And the world needs your presence. And Michelle's the midwife to help you let it be. So, all right, Michelle. All right, we're so grateful to have you on as a guest today. It's been so awesome just spending this delicious time with you as always, and so grateful to share you with all of our listeners here.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Just always love our time together, no matter what we're talking about.
All right. Thank you for that. And yeah, everyone. So, as usual, as I always say, keep on tuning in and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Goodbye for now.
For listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.